Good morning, welcome back. We are giving you new questionnaire form, so we kindly ask you to fill in the new form and give us back to the registration form at the end of this morning. We would like to start. I introduce you Professor Uccini, who teaches software engineering at the University of L'Aquila. He will explain us how queue management system used for the student office has been adapted to the UFFIZI museum visitor flow. This is an example of technology transfer at the University of L'Aquila. Thank you.
Hello, good morning. So please interrupt me for any question you may have. Okay? Don't let me talk all the time. I can talk a lot. Okay. So any question you can. So please, any question is more than welcome. So the goal here, just to, as Alessandra was introducing, give you some information on my experience with the University of L'Aquila in technology transfer. Let me give you some inputs. So this is my profile, part of it at least. I graduated in computer science some years ago, okay, from this university. Then I got a PhD in 2002. The year has been quite important to me because I've been doing a postdoc in the US, and I became assistant professor here from this university. In 2006, I started a double degree program in software engineering. So this is with the University Amsterdam and with the Mälardalen University in Sweden. So at that time, the head of the department, that now is the directress, by the way, and also my, let's say, responsible for the PhD, asked me to start doing some international activity. And then, we started this double degree, which is still running after 13 years. In 2014, I became associate professor. In 2015, we started another double degree with India. And starting a few months ago, I'm the head of the study program in computer science from this university. But I also have a little bit of parallel working life. Okay, that is more related to this presentation. When I graduated in '97, I was working for 1.5 years in a company here close to this area. Then I worked with some companies in Germany in 2003 for a couple of years, and then in 2012 we started this technology transfer project that I will tell you a little bit more in a few minutes. Another, let's say, technology-oriented project. And last year I opened with some collaborators a spin-off company of the University of L'Aquila. So this is just to say, my kind of, my primary work has been always, researcher. This is my main trend. But in parallel, I've been working a lot in international activities, visiting many universities and starting these two double degree programs and activities related to technology transfer. Just to, not that we need any detail, but just because we will come back later on this one. So my research area is about architecting complex systems. That means how to model a system before you build it in order to guarantee the qualities that you expect from software. It's very similar to when you have to build, let's say, a bridge. You cannot start creating a bridge just putting pieces together. You need to do design, you need to do analysis, you need to, in a preventive way, try to check if everything is in order, and then you start building the bridge. That's what we do with software, essentially. So we do a design and modeling of the software in order to guarantee that it's going to be good. And what I did, this is, again, we will come back to this for one reason that I'll tell you later. So this is what I've been doing in research. So mostly related to architecting system, creating this model of the system before creating software. But let me start in 2013. So this part about technology transfer for myself started essentially around 2013. It is a long path. I don't know how many of you are related to technology transfer activities or have been supporting technology transfer activity. Let me ask you just to get some interaction with you. So is any of you having, related to technology transfer activity in some form? Not yet? Okay. I guess that, it will happen sometime. This is the history. 2013, two kids. We went to a park, okay, during the weekend. It was totally full of people. Indeed, when you go to those parks, mid of August, when all people in Italy are going somewhere, you don't go, 1 month before that there is nobody. You just go when all people in Italy is moving around for vacation and for, leisure. And what happened essentially is that it was cool. At that time, my question, I'm a software engineer, so engineering the software. So my mentality, good or bad, I don't know, but this is, my 20 years more formation in this area is looking at the problem and trying to understand if there is a software that may solve the problem. Okay? And what I noticed is, people get distributed in this area in some way. And my question was, what may happen is that if everybody is going this path, and when we enter, okay, all of us, all these thousands of people are moving around this area, what may happen is that we are here queuing with a lot of people, but maybe here is totally empty. And it would be very good to know where the people is positioned in this area. I noticed that a few years later, something very much related to this problem has been solved in some thematic park in France, for example, where there is a mobile application today that tells you essentially which is the distribution of people, where to go first, and so on. So, but at that time, a few years ago, that was the question that I had in mind, and this is the question again. Where the people is. You feel sometimes that you are like an animal, that you just follow people, but knowing that here there is very little, it would be very nice just to say, okay, kids, let's go here first. When these people move here, then we go there. It would be basic, but quite efficient. So what happened essentially, that in 2014, we started working on queues. Queue management. Yeah. We started studying material, different articles, newspapers, white papers, and so on. And we discovered, that there are three main big questions that people would like to know. So, how long shall I wait when I get in a queue? Indeed, we would like to avoid to be in a queue. But if I need to stay in a queue, please tell me at least how long I'm expected. Because maybe I have kids again, or I have some elderly people that need some attention, and I would like to know if I really can stay as long as needed or not. Or if I have multiple areas to go, multiple offices or multiple areas in the thematic park, what I would like to know is where should I go first? Again, this is very similar to the picture that I showed you before, because if I move to one office, instead of another, maybe that one is free and the other one is totally full. So if we do a redistribution of people, these may have a value in optimizing the load. And the other question is how to avoid or to limit the waiting time? So those questions we started asking ourselves, or myself, immediately after. And what happened essentially, I had a chance. I had a chance because we had a local project here at the University of L'Aquila, a national project, which is called Ricostruire, which is for, you know, it's a reading project, something local, okay? And this project essentially put in place a little bit of money, not big money, okay, a few thousands of euros. We also had some support. We applied for a local, let's say, supporting agency. We got some other few thousands of euros from this other entity. And what I did starting, that year, create an initial team, starting reading more and creating competencies about queue management, and also starting creating competencies on planning, how to plan, how to move people, and so on. What I want to share with you, and please, any question, just interrupt me at any time. I don't want to make here the 1 hour, direct talk, but I'm more interested in generalizing my experience, not just speaking about one specific case. In fact, what I want to do, and I will do also in the rest of the presentation, some reflections. So one of the reflections is that how difficult is the transition from ideas to prototype. So what happened is that the year before I had this idea, how can we manage? Is there any way to manage, this loading of people, this queuing? And when we teach our students, most of the time, the most that we get are prototypes. But when you start doing this technology transfer, the first step is idea to prototype, but the other huge step is prototype to product. Huge. I never thought that moving from a prototype to a real product was so difficult, so complex, and how many factors are involved in this transition, okay, from prototype to real project. Another point that I want to put in evidence, the role of projects. I never expected that the little project, all of us are involved in projects. All of us are involved in too many projects, okay? And it's typically very difficult to understand which one to follow and which one to give less priority. And I think that every day, all of us has, to make decisions, our time is limited. It can be as many hours as we want or as we can, but it's limited. And we know that whenever there are 3 different projects we can apply, we need to decide where to put more our energy. And we understand that not always we do the right choice, right? But sometimes, okay, and we discover only later on, maybe years later, we understand that we made the right choice. So in my specific case, that little project that I was involved made a difference to me. If I look at that now, probably without that little project, we couldn't do what we did in the next years. It was a little Italian project with a few thousands of euros. So this is also just to tell that sometimes it's not really much the amount of money that the project is giving us, but it's the timing and the idea where we use this money to build something. Okay? I'm involved in many different projects, research and mobility and company and many things. And every time that a new thing comes in, my question is, shall I follow this one or not? Because if I follow this project, I will not follow the next project. And I don't know if the next project is going to be more interesting, more relevant than this first one. Okay? So this project for me was really relevant, even if it was again, a few thousands of euros. Today I will probably say no, because simply the cost benefit is not so high. But again, every time I spend time thinking, can this project open up a new collaboration a new possibility that even if I'm putting a lot of effort, this can provide me something that is much more relevant than just the budget that comes from the project. And this is the last point, how to select the worthy opportunities. If I think back, to the many possibilities, I clearly recognize, and I think that you can do the same, those projects that I started and I think that was great that I did, and some other projects that I didn't follow that became important and that I lost. Okay, so I think that this is really, really important. How many of you work in? Let me try to make interaction. Okay, I know that at the beginning it's a little bit hard, maybe, but let me try. Otherwise, I will speak for 1 hour and more, and this is not typically what we really want. So how many of you are involved in projects? Yeah, projects, I mean writing the proposal, running the projects. Okay, can you please raise the hand? Okay. Which type of projects?
You mean for digitalization or in general?
In general.
So first of all, I'm a lecturer in logistics management in Antwerp, Belgium. So project I'm involved in. Bachelor proof revision for our last year's logistics management, new curriculum, new digitalization for our last year's, how to apply, how to implement rather, and what are we going to insert in the curriculum, what do we leave out of the curriculum, revision of languages. In Belgium they still have to study French, English and German. Can we leave German out? Will be obligated? Will we leave it out? So I think I'm in 5-6 projects per year easily. Okay.
I'm teaching about IT and IT management. I've been in senior management positions in private industry in IT. I've been in charge for an innovation program, making indeed the reflection like which ideas are worth of investing some time to reflect, and then which one in the end do we select to implement. And one of my reflections was, do you look at this from a personal point of view, or do you look at this from a group point of view with multiple people, because that makes a difference.
Yes, makes a big difference, yes.
And of course I also understand that when you do something, you can do something on your own, and you have the power to work with yourself and 1 or 2 people. You don't need a heavy structure, you don't need so much line, you can just go. But then at a certain moment you encounter that thing becomes more difficult, and then you still need to align, and then you get lost. So it's always this trade-off, like how much do I invest at the beginning? But sometimes I also learned that when you go too quick with good idea to a large group to validate it, sometimes the baby is dead before it's born. So sometimes you must enable the baby to be born, to show how it's looking like, and say, hey, I'm a baby, can we do something with it?
Somebody in the
So I work as the coordinator of project development at the International Cooperations Office at Middle East Technical University. I take part in the proposal processes of Erasmus Plus projects like Key Action 107 International Credit Mobility. And we recently applied for a capacity building project about digitalization of career development services at the universities, with the Asian universities and the European universities. So we're waiting for the outcome in August. And I also take part in the project-based mobility, which is run by Turkish Higher Education Council, both during the proposal process, and during the implementation as well.
Let me check somebody from the back. I saw some hands here. Just to be fair, otherwise only people in front will get opportunity.
I was involved in projects of the German research community. These are
Then I will make another round of questions later. But what, when I was preparing this presentation, I was really thinking about the role of deciding which project is the one we want to invest more time. And sometimes we are simply obliged, sometimes it's something that we need to do, we must do. But me as a researcher, I have the luck, I understand this, to decide where to go. Okay? This is, I think, is the biggest value of my job, or one of the really big value. I can decide to participate in one project or to another, most of the time. Okay? But this implies that you need to make the decision. Some people tell us, you're very lucky because you can work everywhere. I was yesterday with my dentist in Rome, and this guy that was, making, things to me, saying, I like those work where you don't need to stay in a place, you can go and everywhere and work at home. And I told him, guy, yes. But when I had my desktop computer in my office, when I was finishing at whatever, 7 p.m., I went home, okay, I switched off the computer, I was not able to work, so I could refresh my mind. Now that's true, that I'm here or I'm traveling somewhere, but I always have this, enemy, this devil, that gives me calls and WhatsApps about work and emails and emails and emails. So essentially my brain is stopping, thinking about what I need to do next only when I go to sleep. Okay? And this is again, having the opportunity to choose, just going back to this, is a great opportunity, but this means that it's your responsibility to select the right projects or to say no to the project that you consider not to be very interesting. Let me just move on in 2016. So what happened at that time, I had another opportunity directly from the University of L'Aquila. I'll tell you a little bit more now. So essentially, I've been commissioned to work on this queue management for the student secretary offices. And I've been given some budget for doing this. And this has given me the possibility to grow up the team, so more people into the team, get the new competencies in digital ticketing and get new competencies in hardware, software architecture. How to build, how to create, put devices, how to install devices, and so on. So essentially, the context is this one. So if we look at the queues, even in university, we can have different places where we can create queues. One is the students' offices, especially when there are important deadlines. And especially, it depends on how much the process is digitalized. And this university has made and is making a lot of investment. There will be also my colleague later on coming in the next speech, but I'm also sure that the general director yesterday gave you some inputs on in the past days. So we're making a great investment in digitalizing as much as possible. But still, there are actions where you require people to get physically to an office. When there are deadlines, enrolling or getting the degree or some other cases, what may happen is that you don't have indeed enough personnel to manage at the speed the amount of people coming to the secretary. Other kind of queues is in the canteen. So when we have a lot of students, and maybe limited dimensions to do that, or tax offices, especially again when you enroll. Again, this university is doing a lot of work in digitalizing those two things. Most of the process is now totally digital, and we are continuing working to make it fully digital, that the student, at least for the basic things, do not need to go at all to the secretary or to the tax office, but can do everything at distance. But it's kind of a lengthy process. It's a lengthy process because, as you know, most of you are in administration, you know that there's not one person in one office, but there are potentially 5 different offices which are involved, and then you need to create a process, you need to create the software, you need to create the infrastructure, you need to teach to people, to staff members, how to manage, you need to test it, so it takes some time. This is just to give you an idea of how we are distributed, we are organized. We are so far 7 departments distributed in 4 main sites, about 20,000 students. Those are the different departments, and we have these secretaries for students. Okay, so when we started this project, the idea was, can we limit the queue that we have, especially in the busy period of students, in the secretaries. And again, we also have a virtual secretary, but what we build essentially is this system that we are continuing to evolve, where we have a mobile application for students where they can book their reservation with the student secretary, where they can ask questions and can have information. We have a software that is given to the secretary to monitor how many people are coming and which kind of activity they are asking for. We have a display for calling the next numbers, and we have a totem application for people that don't want to use the mobile applications and go directly to the office. I don't know in your countries, but one of the difficulties that I can recognize still in Italy very much is that the optimal solution to these digitalization problems, okay, is using exclusively mobile devices. Okay? So the optimum is don't go to any office before you made a reservation using a mobile application. And this is a basic idea. We know, I mean, all of us have this, even you, okay? So it takes a few seconds, just go there and make a reservation for anything. But culturally, we are not ready for it. What this means is that in the location where you need to manage people, you still need to have something, you know, where people can make the reservation directly on site. This is, from a technology point of view, a big obstacle, in a sense, because you need to synchronize this with this one. And whenever you evolve any, let's say, service here, you need to evolve the service here. Okay? And what happens? We know. Students, what they do, they take the solution that they think to be the basic one, the easiest as possible. So the risk is that they continue and go to use this one simply because they are lazy and they don't want to download the mobile application to do this. Then what you need to start when you design these systems, how can I make the mobile version, let's say, stronger, offering more services than the one on the side, so that I push students or people in general to use this one instead of going physically to the place and eventually waiting there. Okay? I know other countries where this is not anymore a barrier, and when thinking of having only this one is not a problem. Okay? In Italy it's not in this way. And I'll give you another examples, bigger examples. So this implies, in terms of technology, to build much more stuff than what is really needed. Because again, you need to create two different applications. They are not the same. Typically, they are with different technologies. They need to send the data to the same cloud. They need to synchronize. Every time you need to change something, you need to change here and here. But social aspects are more important than technology. Okay? So we build software, we do technology for people. We don't have to forget me, us, as technology sometime. And I think that we have many examples with mobile applications. No, there are so many stupid mobile applications around, right? Okay? Which are not even taught for people, but just for the sake of creating some digital thing. This doesn't work. Okay, typically it doesn't work. 2016, so we're getting closer and closer. We had other opportunities. Another opportunity was that we get some money from my department at the university to create an IoT laboratory, so to buy hardware. Okay, that's the point. To buy hardware and get people using the hardware. Most of the time what we do, we tell people, I mean, we are a software kind of group. So we work mostly on software. And this kind of application, they require a lot of sensors. What we typically do with students, we say, let us assume that we get this flow of data. And then assuming that we get the data, we store the data, we elaborate the data, we create a service. But we missed one part. Having the data is not so trivial. Okay, so this gave us an opportunity to buy equipments that were related to queue management. We bought camera, RFID readers, people counters, and other devices, beacons. I mean, I'm just telling some technology that maybe is not even of interest to you, but just to give some names. And with this one, we could essentially, get the hardware part and also bridge that part that was not covered by my team. So, because before we were only, let us assume we have the data. Indeed, we were already working with kiosks and mobile applications, as I showed you in the previous slide, but we were not covering the entire thing. What happened the same here is that we signed an agreement with the Uffizi Galleries in Florence, and this was another important milestone in what we did so far. This opened up essentially what we did in the next couple of years. I'm coming back, on Saturday and Sunday I was in Florence with my team, for example, and I'll tell you a little bit more. So what we did essentially is two things. This is one, the living lab. So getting the hardware, studying the different options, creating knowledge. Okay? There are so many different kind of cameras, and some of them are good to get data, some other are not very relevant. There are so many software to manage cameras. Our goal again is, can I use camera to, for example, count how many people are in certain areas? So then we discovered that there are cameras that are good for that, cameras that are not really, expected to do that task. And which software, what we did, we tried the 7 applications from the market, and only one was working properly at that time. And we got again the other equipment, and here again hardware does not only mean buying the stuff, but means also giving to students and to collaborate on something concrete. So I can give you today a camera, can tell you this is the API, the way to use the camera, get the data, the real data. Tell me which is the precision that you get from the camera. And you may discover that the camera, you get the precision in counting of 70%. Is 70% good enough? Depends. Which is the project? Is that enough for you to know more or less how many people are around? Okay, or do you want to know a precise number? And then the idea is that you need to complement different technology to get that data. So maybe that this has a 70% of precision is not very good in certain cases, but if you also put another technology, you can get maybe another 50%, which is again not very much, but the 50% are on some aspects that are not covered by cameras. So if you put the data together, and this is what is called big data analytics, this trend on big data, AI, machine learning. So you get data from different devices, and all together you get a precision of 90–95%, even if individually you get limitations. So this was one big step, and that here. Another big step, as I told you, was starting this collaboration with the Uffizi Galleries. How did it work? Because every time that I make presentations about what we are doing with the Uffizi Gallery, one of the typical questions is, how did it happen? How did it happen that we get in contact with the director of the UFFIZI galleries 3 years ago, more or less, and we started this process. I think it was a combination of many different things. Indeed, one was luck. We always did luck. But on the other side was also, I would say, entrepreneurship and collaboration. So what happened essentially is that I was listening at the TV, Dr. Ege Schmidt, that was already still in the US, not yet coming to Italy to direct the UFFIZI galleries. And in this video, he was saying, when I will come to UFFIZI, one of the things that I want to solve are the queues. I don't know how many of you are familiar, but in worst case in UFFIZI, I know a lot of people that never happened to enter the UFFIZI.
Yes.
Okay, I know. Twice. Every time I talk about this, I know that the hands will be raised about it. Yes, I know. So what happened essentially is that I was listening to this message. I said, oh wow, it's already 3 years that we work on this. We already made a lot of progress. Let me try to get in contact with the director. And then what I did, I called directors, I called other offices and say, do you have an email address of this guy? And they made a check, and essentially they returned to me an email address. Okay? So I sent an email. Those are the kind of emails that you say, okay, let me lose, 15 minutes of my time. Okay? I have other things to do, but let me throw this email, okay? I will never get an answer. And instead I get an answer. And the director was saying at that time, I'm not yet in Italy, but yes, let's talk about this. We had a Skype meeting. Then in September of this year, he got to Florence, and we met. And from there we started this collaboration. Another question that people ask me, how is that possible that you, who are you with me? It's a social professor from a middle university in Italy. How is it possible that you, among many big companies that you can find all over the world, he's German, he was working since a long time in the US, coming to Italy, how is it possible that you, with your team, from this university, got the project? One of the answers that I'm sure when I give this answer is that because it's not Italian. Okay? So it's not in the games which are played locally. I think more or less everywhere, but there are many played here in Italy. So an Italian director would have not replied most probably, or just say, oh, I have my friends in a big company that will do this for millions of euros, whatever. So I think that one of these is the reason. Another thing I asked the director, I said, director, why you decided eventually? And he told me that he was already in contact with some companies in the US, some companies in Europe. But I've been able to create a trust to convince him that we could really solve the problem. Okay? Again, a combination of factors, a combination of lucky factors where luck plays a role, but there is also an important element of collaboration, of trying, investing time, even if you don't expect anything to happen. Okay? Essentially, those are the reflections that essentially we already were discussing at the beginning. Investment in infrastructure, we need infrastructure. If we want to do technology transfer, we need to have technology to transfer the technology. If we don't have technology, what we transfer? And technology is not only hardware, but is hardware and ability to make it work properly. Okay? And then we need to train people, students, not only professor or technician, okay, but students first to make this happen. Okay? Top skills, you need to demonstrate that you may solve the problem. I'm not a seller, even if now in my parallel working life, I'm a little bit of a selling man. I have to become a little bit, but I'm not able to sell what I don't have, because that's not my part. So my part is that doing research, making prototypes, doing systems. So what I sell is typically what I believe that I can do properly. I know that if you compare with a company will say, okay, but you stupid guy, come on. We sell whatever, we don't even know what's about, but we have some good speakers, good inventors, whatever. This is not my skill. Okay, but if I know something, or if my group knows something, I try to sell as best as I can what we know. 2017 was a combination. We organized also in L'Aquila a panel on ICT for cultural heritage, to get also in link with some other colleagues from other Italian universities working on ICT for cultural heritage. We created a challenge for students, where students could propose a project and be selected nationally together with other 12 teams in Italy. Okay. Again, a lot of things are people. It's not only technology. Technology transfer, I think, is limited as a term, or very implicitly, but very important is people. Involving, collaborators, involving students, involving other colleagues, okay, on something which is technology. But technology is only the way we do it. It's not really the goal of what we do. This is what we started then. It's now more or less 2.5 years that we are in this project. The goal was to reduce the waiting time, to get into the museum, to optimize the internal human flow, and to manage also multi-museum. What I mean with multi-museum is that the Uffizi gallery doesn't come alone, but the Uffizi gallery is connected and directed by the same director with the Boboli Gardens and with the Pitti Palace. So they are all three managed by the same director. And again, if you look at the three sites, what may happen, what typically happened, especially in the past, is that Uffizi was totally full, but Palazzo Pitti was quite empty.
Yes.
Palazzo Pitti has been closed for a number of years and not given enough importance, some years ago. And what has been done instead is really giving evidence and importance to this palace that now has almost the same number of visitors of Uffizi, and has been growing about 15%, 20% of visitors each year in the last 3-4 years. Okay. The idea here was, again, how can I manage? I mean, if one is empty, can I direct people from the busy one to the empty one, so that we overall optimize the presence and avoid people to stay in line for a long time? So this was the project. 2018, the Uffizi system alive. So what we did, essentially, we started for 1.5 years. We got a huge amount of data. We created infrastructure in the museum that they didn't have, and I will show a little bit more now. And starting September 2018, on the free days, okay, we are still in the free days, not every day. Okay, we started experimenting our algorithm, infrastructure, models, and so on. And in the same year, 2018, I also started with some collaborators, a spin-off company of the University of L'Aquila, specialized in queue management and human flow management and things like that. Okay. Just to give you a little bit more, Uffizi System Alive. So this is just to give you an input for those of you that couldn't get in. I know every time there are many hands when I ask, how many of you didn't have a chance to enter, and this is the typical problem. So we are talking here about more than 2 million visitors per year, only the gallery, not considering Pitti, not considering Boboli. If we put all of them together, there are more. Last year there have been more than 4 million visitors. If we put this in context, 2 million visitors per year means an average of 7,000 people a day, with peaks that rise to about 10,000 of people in one day. Okay, and that's why, unfortunately, the difficulty to enter. In 2007 was the third most visited museum in Italy, and which is the main problem. Why? I think that most of you that were in line and entered, or some of you that couldn't enter, were asking yourself, what's going on here? Why I cannot enter? Why I need to waste so much time? Because that was the problem. And this is what we essentially had to study since the beginning, why this problem happens. This problem happens for a very simple reason, for a combination of reasons, but this is essentially what we found, where we were analyzing the problem. So what happened is that every at least 1 weekend a month, and the last almost 3 years, we have been going, me or some of my team, physically in Uffizi in Florence, monitoring what was going to happen. And this is what we found, and I have, for each time I have a repertory of photos, which is 3 years of photos. I have people under the umbrella in strong rain, I have people in photos with 40 degrees and 90% of humidity. They don't go away, most of the people. Okay. Some eventually leave, and just consider that, again, some of you already know, this is typically one of the entrance. The queue is this one, and sometimes this was in Piazza della Signoria, and sometimes it even goes straight in other streets around the city. Okay, so this is what when we started, this was the case. And me with my team, being academics, first time we're like, nice. Okay, yes, we've been doing systems, we've been doing things for L'Aquila, for the university, we've been teaching along, but this is a lot of people. If they get angry, that's going to be a problem. Okay, that's going to be a problem. And what is the main problem here? Why this big queue was created? Very simple. I mean, one of the reasons, the main reason, not the only one. The museum has a maximum capacity, which is highly underestimated. What I mean is that it's the same value, which is about 900 people, that was 25 years ago, when Uffizi was half of the size of what is today. Okay? Unfortunately, the people that shall change this number never change this number, and still today they must guarantee that no more than a certain amount of people are inside the museum at the same time. What happens very easily is that the amount of people that arrive, especially in certain time frame, in certain period of the year, are 10 times more, or a number of times more than the number of people that the museum can contain. And this happens, and indeed, what happens? Very simple, that you need to queue. Okay. I had some other slide that I didn't put here, but again, I don't want to use slides. I mean, I prefer just to tell you voice. We have been counting, since we are experimenting, just to give you data. We have a lot of data. Okay, I'm not showing you much, but we have a lot of data these 3 years. But we have been counting in 15 minutes. We have slots of 15 minutes. Okay, the typical arrival in the early morning. Okay. Is about the maximum that we counted, 900 people in 15 minutes. Okay, if you count in 1 hour, we are talking about, then it decreases a little bit. It's not 900 times 4, but I counted that in the top period there are more than 2,000 people arriving in a single hour. Which is the other difficulty? The other difficulty is that there is no time block. So you can get into the museum, you can stay as long as you want. This means that if I fill up the museum with 900 people that stays for 3 hours, consider that the average is about 100 minutes, where groups, especially Chinese, because they have guides that need to show everything, in one day, goes from a minimum of 60 minutes. But we also counted something like 3–4% of the entire set of people staying 4 hours or more. If you assume that in a wrong day, in a wrong in terms of queue, maybe because it's raining a lot, maybe because people do not have anything else to do, they stay 2–3 hours. You can imagine that if I not empty a space from the 900 in the museum, if I don't have some people leaving, all these 2,000 people coming 1 hour will wait. That's the basic reason. There are many more, but this is the essence. When we started discussing with the director, we say, okay, what do you want to do? Do you want to put time limit? Because in some museums in Europe, there is a time limit. They follow you, or they give you kind of pressure, making other people entering, and they know that more or less in, let's say, 1 hour, you're done. Just because there is a flow that is pushing, and the director said, no, I want to leave people free to stay in the museum as long as they want. What we did, starting from this situation that we monitored for, again, 1.5 years when we were reducing our system, we created an infrastructure, because they didn't have almost anything. When I asked the director, which data can you provide? He was saying, I have the number of people visiting the museum every day. And my question was, that's it? Don't you know how long they stay? Don't you know how long they queue? And what they had a feeling, gut feeling. Yes, based on the experience, these people manage the systems in 20 years. If the queue is there more or less in between 45 minutes and 1.5 hours, and they shall visit from 100 minutes to 2.5 hours, but you cannot create anything which is technology or computer science with this kind of, feeling, yes. So we had to create an infrastructure to get the data. We had to define which data was useful to us, because that was the tricky part. How can we solve the problem? Which data we need to solve the problem? This was, especially at the beginning, what we did, we created unique models for UFFIZI, we created a descriptive model, a predictive model, and an adaptive model. So this is the step in which I was really lucky, because I could find in the university skills that are not in my background. Okay? And you can imagine that when we talk about technology transfer, that seems a very simple phrase. Okay? That's not easy at all. Making these models is not my skill. It's not what I started and made research for 20 years. Then I need to contact a lot of people to say, I have this problem. I know the data, I imagine the data that we need, and I know how to create the infrastructure, but are you able to create the model to make this prediction? And indeed, I had to test many people. Some people were saying, UFFIZI, I know everything. UFFIZI, I want to put my name in UFFIZI project. One of the most famous museum in the world, I want to put my name. And then after a while I say, thank you, but maybe next time or another project, this is not really what I need to. And this is also humanly difficult, because you talk with your colleagues. Okay? At that time, when I started, I was even a researcher, not even a social professor. But I'm not even today a full professor, that can I have a little bit more of, you may call a full professor and send to a full professor, I don't need you. That's something not really easy to make. But we made it. Okay? I found the right people. I was really, really lucky, okay, to find the right people eventually. that could create these models. And the third big part, human factors. Creating the software, deciding which hardware machinery to use, decide how to inform the user, what to show in the screen to the users, and so on. This was something, and this is something that we do every time that we go doing our experimentation. We check people, how they interact with the system. As soon as we see that they touch 3 times, that many people touch, many times, not understanding, then it's always a note. Okay, let me take a note that we need to change something, because it's not immediate to the user. What we do essentially today, I'm not going to spend too much time, but just to give you a system. What we do, when there are the 3 days, there was one this Sunday, next one will be this Sunday, so we are going again, another one will be at the end of June. We have these kiosks with our software. Our software looks like, this is one page of our software. And what we essentially do, people, those kiosks are put outside in this way. Okay, people come and take a ticket like this one. And this ticket tells them at what time they need to come back to enter. Okay? So what we essentially do, using our models, we calculate how long people are supposed to stay in that day inside the museum. We monitor if they stay longer or less, because this happens. Statistics gives you an idea, but that doesn't give you a precision. So what we do, we have a statistic model that we tested very well, that give us some good precision, but then we monitor. So if they go faster, we give more tickets, because they will exit sooner. But if it starts rains or for other reason they stay longer, then we need to reduce the number of tickets that we give. And based on this, what we do, we essentially give a ticket based on time slot. So we know that for 9:15, we can give 250 tickets, but for 9:30 we can give 150 tickets. This is the model that gives us this information. Okay, and based on how people is behaving, reduces or increases this number. Okay. What happens essentially, and this was not taken this Sunday, but this is what we have. This is what we have today when we are there. So this means that only the people that are, called in the 15 minutes are there. We tell them not to come later or before. Indeed, here there's a huge human factor. Huge. It's already 25 times that we do this experimentation in the field. But indeed, people that is used to stay in line, if you make them by mistake creating a queue, maybe simply because they don't know and they didn't get the ticket, or they're, let's say, 2 hours after ticket, but they don't know and they start queuing. In 5 minutes, I can tell you, you can have all this area, all this plaza full of people. So we need to monitor. What is one of the difficulty is that there is no communication here, unfortunately. There is zero communication. And it's very difficult. I mean, technology-wise, it would be easy. You could put huge screens, I've seen that. I know where to buy them. I know where to buy them. If you go to Roma Termini, okay, there are in between 2 big corridors, 2, let's say, transparent huge screens. They would be wonderful because you can put, some here and tell people, go to take the ticket and come back at the time. Okay, but we can't. You imagine, you can't touch anything. What we do, what we did the last 2 months, we bought, I mean, it's not in this photo, but we bought a big roll-up, 2 meters and 250 centimeters for 2, and we put here, it's like something this, where we put instructions. Still difficult. We don't read. We don't like to read. And putting only one is not sufficient. Here, if you want to do real communication, you need to use the top part, not the bottom. You need to use the top part, and you need to replicate at least 3, 4 of them. Okay, but this is not possible. Not now, at least. So you have a question?
I think you just replied my question.
Okay. And here what you discover also that theory versus practice. This is my reflection. When you create a system and not a prototype. In theory, you could put here as many board screens as you wanted. In theory, we could have put inside the museum as many hardware devices to make a precise calculation of everything, but we couldn't. Everything here is done inside the museum and outside the museum, respecting the very strict regulation from cultural heritage from this museum. So it's not optimal, I can tell you. We could have used devices of technology much more advanced than what we use now. This means that we have to work much more with the data, which is partial data, to get the results that we get. But it works fine. I can tell you this Sunday we managed 7,892 people entering the museum with more than 9,000 taking the ticket. It's free, so some of them don't come eventually, so it's typical. We know we are starting this effort. And the maximum line that I can tell you, you can come visit us if you want in the next 3 days, is something like this. So people coming for their slot. It's culturally difficult again to tell them. But what we need to do now physically, when we see people getting more in line, I need to go or some other collaborators and check with the ticket, what time they have the ticket. You discover that sometimes they are 2 hours after, that they didn't understand, that they could go away and come back later. But as soon as you do this in 5 minutes, and again, the difficulty here is to deal with 8,000 people. I'm not talking with 5,000, and 100 people. And you know that is enough one people or a little group that make travels to create big travels. If some people start yelling or something is not working, okay, here is not only the technical aspect, but it's the social aspect. People would start saying, oh, this doesn't work, what's the other doing, and this can create in the whole people coming to the kiosk or coming to the entry point, kind of a very tense atmosphere. So that's where we had to work a lot. And just consider that we did the first experimentation in September 2018. And you can imagine how it was our mode. We were going there 4 days ago with the 6 of us, okay, testing, trying, but you know that you can test whatever you want, but you never know what really happens when you open it. Okay.
If you combine what you said before here about the students and the use of their smartphones, could you use the smartphones as a way to communicate with all these people and let them in some way to make a connection before they go in and get them in interaction in some way, and in that way?
Okay, the question is why you didn't start with this with the mobile app?
Yeah.
We wanted. No, we wanted. That was our first proposal, but again the director was saying this would be too radical.
Yeah, you exclude people. Huh?
You exclude people. People is not ready for that. If you do this, okay, I lost my job. And for us, you can imagine that using these kiosks is much more difficult than using mobile phone. Why? Because with mobile phone, if something is going wrong, you can send a notification. Sorry guys, we are 15 minutes late, come 15 minutes after the time. With the kiosk, it prints a time. It prints a time. I may have a ticket here somewhere. Between all this stuff, I don't know. But if you print it, and it's printed at 10:15, how can you tell people, hundreds of people, that you were wrong and it's better that they come at 10:30? What we did, what we thought at the beginning, we thought this in September, and then we realized that was not doable. We thought, let's use the big screens. We have positioned here the 2 big screens. Let's use the big screens, like in the train station, to say the train or the entrance is delayed of 15 minutes. We thought about that. But this would have been impossible here for two reasons. Why? It's because even if the totem are 2 meters or more high, they are not enough visible. You need here really something that is big as well as this one, all this area. The other point is that if I delay you of 15 minutes, this is what we happen when you go in a train station, a big train station. What happens? You have a lot of people in front of the screen. All of them checking and waiting. Here we don't have the physical space. Don't look at it now this way. Okay, just imagine also the people flowing just to go through, and it's not so big. I mean, it's big, but if you consider thousands of people, it's not so big. And if people stay looking, the only way to do that, and we will do for the future, we will think for the future, is using Piazza della Signoria and put a big screen there if you really need to do that. Because it's a big square where you can host thousands of people. What we decided after September, let us remove this possibility from the kiosk. If I tell you 10:15, you must enter 10:15. And this makes the things even more complicated. So this is before and after. We made a lot of publicity, journals, and the radio, and it has been really nice or tough, because that's not really what is what was my job. Let's say now is part of my job, but not easy at the beginning. We created also this spin-off company. And essentially the offers that we do is ICT research-based solutions for monitoring and controlling human flows in open and closed spaces. So essentially our idea is not only to monitor museums, but if you have a big fair, or if you have a stadium, or if you have an event that is attracting hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of people, and you don't want to create these urban security problems, we now have the skills and the technology to manage. Now we are trying to get something with an airport. We are in contact with another museum. It's slow. Okay, it takes time. Okay, and me doing research, having PhD students, doing teaching, having a research project, and having this company and this project, I can tell you that it's quite crazy. Okay. But what is the real value is this one. It's the team. I think that I changed in the last 3 years at least half of the team. What I mean is that the team is also experienced. Somebody comes, oh, I can do everything. They're not able to do everything. Or simply that they start with you and after a while they decide to do something different. This is overall the team. Some of them are PhD students, some are colleagues, but many of them, all those in yellow, they are our students. That, I think, is one of the big value. Those are our students. Some of them are even bachelor or were bachelor students. And they are managing some important pieces of what I was showing you before. Some reflection, and we are almost done. What happened to my research line? Again, I'm a researcher first, not even a professor. I'm a researcher. Okay. It's more than 25 years that I do research. So what happened, and what was very, very tough, is how can I put together this work with the company and this project with my research line? Okay, I don't come from queue management. I told you. I come from software architecture, design of the system. Here we are using, again, machine learning, statistics, optimization. We are also using architecture and things. Can technology transfer and research live together? Never think, never. I didn't, fortunately, but never think that you can do things on separate areas. It would never work. I remember when I was talking with the directors, Paola. Again, that was also my advisor, my PhD advisor at that time. I said, Paola, we are doing this project. I want to open a spin-off because, let's play the game. Okay, now we are playing, let's play totally. And what she told me, be very careful, because it's extremely difficult to be able to put research in parallel with the company or with the project-oriented things. Don't think to have two different lines, because otherwise you will not survive. Fortunately, what happened is that this is essentially what we do. These are architectures. There is software, there is hardware, there are buildings. What we did essentially, I directed my software architecture skills and research in architecting these kind of systems. So what we do with the research team now, which are also part of the project team, is to create models before building the software in order to be able to understand if our software is going to work properly. And we model the software, hardware, space, because those are the three components that we need. We model in terms of, again, research. We have this framework that we are evolving in the last 5 years, related also to UFFIZI and the other projects, where we can model our software and hardware. We can do simulation, we can do code generation. So the idea is that we can test the quality of our system for, let's say, like UFFIZI, before we start putting the devices. And for example, this is an idea of energy simulation. We can simulate how much energy. In UFFIZI is not a problem, but if you have a smart city project where your sensors is related with the battery, not with the plug, energy is fundamental for us. So we can predict before putting in practice how much energy our system is going to consume, and then check the decisions before that we build the system. Just to go to conclusion, we are getting other contacts with other museums. We are working on smart city projects. We got this Italian-funded project, which is ICT for the Cultural Heritage. That was very timing. Okay, you know that sometimes when you think about time, sometimes you have resources, but you don't have projects. Sometimes you have projects, but you don't have the right people to run them. So now, fortunately, the two things in this time is getting closer. Not matching, not always matching, but at least getting closer. So I can use the expertise from the team into this Italian project, and I can use the skill that we make in the Italian project to make other services for museums and things like that. This is what we do as, what we are planning to do, a multi-site exhibition management system. This is considered to be a huge value. What I mean is that you can save, if you don't put all the people in queue, you can save something like hundreds of thousands of minutes of people per day. I don't have here the slide, but we calculated that using our system with respect to the traditional one, we saved something like 350,000 minutes in one day. This means that these people becomes a resource, because instead of being in line for 2 hours, not being able to move, because if you move, somebody else will take your spot and you will not come there. Then we have all this time that you can distribute for other services. So it can be other museums which are minor, but you can push them to say, okay, you have 2 hours, you need to come back in 2 hours. Okay? Go to visit. It's very close, a small museum. Maybe I make a discount because you're coming here. Okay? Then what makes is that you make the other museum more known, the numbers of the other museum growing, but still the number of the main museum staying the same, not diminishing. It's a win-win. Okay? That's where I think is the most now for us interesting part of the game. Having multi-museum and growing this into a multi-museum environment. Final reflections. Wearing 2 hats is damn complicated. Damn complicated. Okay. What I'm like, and that would be not so good, I mean, it's not only luck. I need, is eventually in 5 years or 4 years, whatever, to create a team that I can trust. So I have my research team, Okay, not always, not everybody, not every time, indeed. Okay, it's always that you need to push or to check. But I know that now I'm in a situation where if I ask to do something, you know, to some people, I know that it will be done well. Okay, but still it's complex because maybe you have a 6 hour of lecture in a day, and the director of the UFFIZI calls you. What you do? With other people's no, they can wait, but if he calls me, okay, I have to stop for 5 minutes maybe, but I need to answer. Or if I have another client, I cannot simply say, okay, let me stop and you know, I'll call you later. It works in academia. It doesn't work as a company. Okay. Indeed, the point that you can ask me is, okay, but try to find other people that do this job for you. Yes, I will, as soon as I have enough projects that I can pay somebody else to make this role. Now I cannot afford as a little company. I cannot afford to have somebody that do this instead of me. That is the contact point for companies or do commercial, or I can't. I don't have money to pay them. I need the money to pay my researchers and my developers. Okay, but indeed the next step would be to, you know, to have more projects to be able to pay somebody good in doing kind of some of the type of tasks that I have to do. Next one, it's all about people, skills, time, select the right project, entrepreneurship, and so on. There's many things, but I discovered the role of people being the fundamental one. I had in my team people that were aggressive, people that were negative, people that were very good but negative, people that are humble and good. And for each of them, you need to know how to manage them. It's like kids. All of them are different. With one, you can be aggressive because you know that being aggressive makes, you know, a good reaction. With the other one, you can't. Because you know that if you're aggressive, it will close and will, you know. And then for each of them, you need to understand. Somebody, I know that I need to make a phone call. Somebody, I know that they will never reply to a phone call. I need to send a WhatsApp or another things. So, but this is, you know, when people ask me, how can you do all these many things? One is probably working more than 12 hours a day. That's true, more, because otherwise I couldn't do. Even managing. You know, all people want to do managers. Oh, I want to become a manager. Yeah, but manager means that at midnight you may have a meeting. Or at 5 a.m. you may have a meeting because it's international. And somebody from US or Australia needs to talk to you. And you are the manager. You need to make the phone call. You cannot ask your, you know, collaborator. Okay? And then there is a problem. You need to solve the problem. So everybody wants to do the manager, but eventually when there is a problem, they come to you. And they say, okay. Or simply, I mean, again, Sunday we have been in UFFIZI managing this. And those guys, I arrived on Saturday at noon. My collaborators arrived Saturday 8 p.m. And they are quite very much relaxed sometimes, you know. And they look at me sometimes and say, oh, but why you're, you know, stressed? I'm not being stressed because now the things are fluid, okay, but always monitoring. You cannot make a single mistake. If you make a single mistake, you will have the 10,000 people angry on you. Okay? And this is the difficulty when you're a manager of anything that you manage. Your family, your work, whatever you're managing. And this is something that also we need to teach to our students and collaborators. A number of people in my team, they want to do manager. But as soon as I say, okay, I'll give you the responsibility for the next project, they are not good to do that. What they do, they look around, they monitor, and say, what are you doing here? Don't see people there. Go and check if they have the right ticket. Don't see that the line is becoming longer than expected. Oh yes, I go. Should I tell you? No. It's a long time that we do this. So The other thing is, just to conclude, company-specific skills. Making a company, making technology transfer means that you need, and this is something that unfortunately we were missing, we are still missing, honestly speaking. Somebody that knows how to sell a product, okay? Somebody that knows how to get the contacts. Okay. What we do is spare time. I have 30 minutes, let me try to send an email to this museum. And this is not the way to do. Just to conclude, what we did, we call this also Made in UNIVAC. All of us so far are from UNIVAC, from University of L'Aquila, and this has been really possible for the many different small things that happen. The little intuition, the little few €1,000 project, the Easy Learn project, and then the contact through the university, and then the spin-off company, and then the laboratory to buy the hardware. Okay, so all these things have been possible because this list of initially small elements became true. And this is, I think, that was, all these things related together in order to make technology transfer. I don't believe it's one people, I don't believe it's by chance. People sometimes when somebody becomes famous or make a lot of money with an application say, oh, no, that was luck. There can be people that have been more lucky than others, but I don't believe in when people say, so they created this mobile application that 1 million of users in 10 days, they were totally lucky. I don't believe. Okay. Technology transfer is something different. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, let's stop for the coffee break. See you here at 11:30. Just a minute because Anna wants to visit.
I have a meeting in my department with them. So I will not be in the second part of this morning. I want to say goodbye, thank you for coming, and invite you to report on this experience, to make your evaluation. Not necessarily good, and not just saying, asking you for a good evaluation, just evaluation. And explain to your students that in this university they can find some good atmosphere. And what we are not able to communicate in a proper way. We are doing a lot of things, but we are not communicating them. But now you could be a good ambassadors. And we welcome your students, your staff, your teachers for any activity, research, cooperation. And as I told you yesterday, in my project, I'm writing many projects every year. I think that we conduct first you, these partners, of course according to the specific qualifications and competencies, and then the others, because I really want to push now all the efforts in the enhancing of the quality of cooperation. And here we are building, we are starting a new era of Erasmus and mobility, quality of mobility and cooperation. So have a nice day and a good trip home, and thank you again.
Thank you.
We can start the second part of our day. Now we have here with us our General Director, Dr. Di Benedetto, and Professor Rossi. Dr. Di Benedetto is an expert in public administration, and he will describe us how our university is moving to digital and how administrative procedures in our university are being dematerialized. Professor Rossi teaches at the University of L'Aquila Operational Research. He taught the National School for Public Administration, and today he will share with us the best practice of digital transformation of the University of L'Aquila's administrative procedure. Dr. De
We are talking about the same thing, but from different perspectives. So, just to remember you what we said 2 years ago, our university is a young university, good quality, has a good placement in the international ranking, is number 78 in Times Higher Education, or 78 overall. In the OX in inglese sarebbe OX, OEC study, is the city ski comparative advantage. The town looks at the university as a fundamental element for its growth and lies deeply, sometimes too much passion. Every choice of the governance, if we decide to increase the fee the day after we have our journalist in front of our door to ask why people talking about this everywhere. 7 departments, 65 degrees, 7 international degrees, 64 offices and sectors, and all the numbers you see here. We are less than 500 staff. And this is a number very important for what I will say. Nowadays in Italy, PIAs are performance-oriented, are considered as services suppliers, are focused on quality and planning of the activities, are subject to a market-oriented modernization process toward the stakeholders, citizens, companies, which aims at offering high-quality services. By improving the efficiency of public administration, the reform process will be implemented. Public administration is requested to change, and this change is more than a restyling of its processes, but needs a complete re-engineering of its processes and organization. Re-engineering. The citizens' new needs have been a fundamental reason to start a change in public administration. The factor that made this change possible is the growth of the information communication technology that now allows to share in real-time information among the structures, to project a complete re-engineering of the internal processes. The industrial revolution of our time is digital. As companies aim to scale up across the single market, public services should also meet today's needs, be digital, open, and cross-border by design. And the European Union is the right scale for the digital times. This is not my sentence, but it's important. In the European Union, public expenditure is approximately 50% of gross product, domestic product, and the public sector represents about 17% of total employment. Public administrations have a great buying power. The overall market for purchases and goods, services and works by the public sector accounts for almost 20% of gross domestic product. It's so difficult for me to say. Because we have PIL, so prodotto interno lordo in Italy. To say it in English confuses me. Opening Opening up the public session information in electronic format is a powerful tool to foster data-driven businesses and thereby growth. Public services need to tackle the challenge of renewing the legitimacy of policymaking through a greater transparency and efficient and accountable public budget management and increased participation. Using the available data and evidence in new ways can improve the effectiveness, efficiency, and the quality of decisions in the public sector. By 2020, public administrations and public institutions of the European Union should be open, efficient, and inclusive, providing borderless, personalized, user-friendly, end-to-end digital public services to all citizens and businesses in the European Union. Innovative approaches are used to design and deliver better services in line with the needs and the demands of citizens and businesses. Public administration use the opportunities offered by the new digital environment to facilitate their interaction with stakeholders. Capturing the value of digital technologies for more open, participatory, and innovative government, using technology to improve government accountability, social inclusiveness, and partnership, creating a data-driven culture in the public sector, ensuring coherent use of digital technologies across policy areas and levels of government, assessing existing assets to guide procurement of digital technologies, reviewing legal and regulatory frameworks to allow digital opportunities to be seized. What is e-government? Electronic administration without paper, informatization of the public administration that reduces the weight of bureaucracy, reducing costs and time spending. In Italy, normative driver, all this you can see here in the slide. Organizational driver, cost reduction, transparency and anti-corruption, internal process efficiency. Dematerialization and digitalization. Dematerialization is the gradual increase in digital document management within public and private administrative structures, and the subsequent replacement of traditional media for administrative documentation in favor of the digital document. Digitization is the digital transformation of an object with the support of a new technology. It's a lower level process applicable to documents, organizational processes, archives. UNIVAC had always many processes dematerialized, such as protocol and archive management, management of the decision-making process, which is, we have two software called Titulus and Titulus Organi. The first one is just like the one that has been told by our friends from Portugal. And the second one is a workflow management that follows all the document that must be discussed in our decision making organs you can follow every single step of the process, and there are some structures that can stop the process and send it back, or can allow to arrive to decision. We had, and this is a process we started in 2004, about 15 years we are using this kind of we have obviously software for budget management and payments, for staff careers management and for student careers management. Who wants to see it tomorrow in the office where you will be? Univers has taken steps to initiate the process aimed to gaining a comprehensive knowledge of the procedures and documents flows. Project Cartesio. It's not easy to know all the single steps that the procedures must do in an Italian public administration. We have a lot of law that comes frequently to change the frame in which we work. Then we add a list of priority to re-engineer processes based on some parameters: the grade of simplification of the procedural flow, shortening or processing times, improved user experience, fewer views, process tracking speed, and paper consumption. We decided to re-engineer processes for two main reasons. According to Italian laws, we can replace all retired employees. Our staff now is 20% less than 10 years ago. We have more to do than 10 years ago. For example, public engagement activities that were not in our mission 10 years ago. In other words, we must do more with less. And so the re-engineer processes and use digitization of our processes is just a need. So we have developed partial full-time choice for professors, whistleblowing, which is a platform for reporting illegal activities, family allowance request process for employees, selection procedure online, research fellowship. For students, student card, fast enrollment procedure, online degree modulus choice, including program process, survey of course for students, elaboration and dissemination of results with data warehouse. In progress, travel expenses authorization and reimbursement, a selection producer online, which is now we have now works. It we have for 24 more than 200 procedures already active. Standard enrollment in the past, long queue times for students at the administrative offices in order to enroll, to collect a certificate or paper form. Classical service, registration form in the virtual secretariat, entry of personal data, residence and domicile, qualification, indication of the degree course chosen, payment, user at the bank. First step, a visit to the student office to deliver the proper documentation, identification form, 2 photos, the banking payment receipt or receipt of credit card payment, printed pre-registration online form, photocopy of the valid identity document stated during the live pre-registration, enrollment form, enrollment for online university services. Second step, visit to the student office in January to collect the record book. So they must come only 2 times in student office. This is the process re-engineer, redesign. I chosen this slide only because it's beautiful. I will not try to explain it.
So, the important point is that this kind of notation, as I'm going to discuss later for a while, has been shared in our experience with the administrative staff. So the redesign of the process, the realization of the process has been done by using mainly this kind of notation, that is the standard one, and people with a completely different background that are not from computer science, basically history, learned and applied in a very smart way, supporting the whole process. So this is a key slide in some sense for what we do in this university.
Fast enrollment from August the 1st, and with the advantages for students. They have to go no longer to the student office for the enrollment procedures. They can upload the digital photo or the digital copy of an identity document to the virtual secretariat. They make the payment online at any bank or at an authorized ATM. They receive an email together with the credentials to access the university services in 7 days after the payment. They can collect their record book starting from December the 1st. Advantage for the university, estimated reduction of approximately 5,000 accesses yearly to the student offices. The record book is printed by the University Press Center without having to attach photos, rackets, and dry stamps. Fast enrollment results based on enrollment at first years of first level degree courses, bachelor level, or second level degree courses, master level, or single cycle degree courses, 6 year. You can see the numbers. Total resulted power consumption to date 60,000 sheets of A4 paper, 18 meters of archive. It's a long way. The student card identifies the owner as a member of one of the 3 regional universities, L'Aquila, Chieti Pescara, Teramo. The student card serves many purposes for Univac, including it's the new official identification regional university card for the recognition and the student status, mere plain access card, fast pay at cafeteria, student attendance in the classes, debit card or MasterCard circuit, bank account for student, tax reimbursement or grant payments, and more services coming. Now we are going to get EU student cards, EU student cards. Whistleblowing. A whistleblower is a person who exposes any kind of information or activity with the deemed illegal, unethical, or not correct within an organization that is either private or public. The information of alleged wrongdoing, it can be classified in many ways. Violation of company policy rules, law, regulation, or threat to public interest, national security, as well as fraud and corruption. National laws in many countries protects whistleblowers from retaliation. In Italy, the present law protects public sector employees from retaliation, but it also imposes that the reporting cannot be completely anonymous. The whistleblower has to be identified somehow as an employee, and this identity can be revealed only under certain circumstances, when there is a trial. Despite the existence of many free platforms like GlobalX, we decided to buy a new software platform in compliance with the new legal framework and adapt it to universities' needs. The software platform is currently under the approval process in order to be included in the public registry of reusable software for public administration in Italy. It gains results for any public administrations in Italy. We have other innovative services for students. SPID, S-P-I-D, Italian Public System for Digital Identity, allows citizens or businesses to access all online services of public administration and affiliates by means of a single digital identity. PagoPA IP public administration means Italian public system for digital payments enable all the finance players, banks, institutions and citizens to speak the same language and exchange payments data in a simple, fast and secure manner. You can see from this study how people use more smartphone and laptop than tablet, gaming device and wearable. Higher education, so top 10 strategic technologies, mobile app development, mobile apps for enterprise application. What we are doing, implementing mobile apps to manage student career on single services while evaluating the adoption of an enterprise mobile app. Mobile payments, enable upcoming Apple Pay, WhatsApp payments, services bound to credit card, so we are virtually ready to go. But also electronic parts with student card, planning to bring all physical tools and interactions on mobile apps, student cards, student attendance, gradebook, etc. We set up a centralized dematerialization office to support the management of student, staff and teacher procedures in a modern and efficient way, namely aiming at setting up sectors with expertise in dematerialization, business process re-engineering office, setting up IT areas with expertise in programming and development, dematerialization office. In 2016, UFFIZI appointed the Dematerialization Committee to conduct the dematerialization and the re-engineering activities, in which was Fabrizio. He was part of the committee, and that's all. And he can continue from the different perspective.
Welcome to the last talk of the day, and as I've been kind of invited to give this speech in this nice environment, and my name is Fabrizio Rossi. As Alessandra said before, I'm a professor of operation research, so something that is close to the re-engineering process, but maybe you can imagine also something different, of course. My scientific work basically is in optimization and in a mathematical term, so something different with respect to administrative procedure, but I served as a teacher at the National School of Public Administration for 2 years, and I brought my experience I shared my experience with that school, in particular the service engineering in the Ministry of Health and in my university. Okay, the idea is simple. It's share what I learned working with mainly your colleague. I mean the administrative people working in this university. Okay, and the idea is to perform the digital transformation here. So it's important that we first assess what I mean, what is my view, but I guess is quite standard about digital transformation. And that is not only, of course, digitization. So if you go to the Gartner glossary, you can read that digitization is the process of changing from analog to digital, so to enable digital, but analog process changes in a digital form without any different in-kind change in the process itself. Okay? Digitalization is even something different. So just a few letters make the difference, but the meaning is completely different. In fact, they use digital technology to change a business model. So this is the story, as is the process of moving to a digital business. So, in short, if you talk about digitization, you are focused on an analog to digital change of information. If you think to digitalization, you are focused on business process and roles that build up a new digital business. And what about digital transformation? So you can go Google and look several different similar definitions of digital transformation. I propose you this because this definition says that this integration of digital technology into all area of business, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to customer. Okay? Of course, we are in a university, I disagree with the idea of a student as a customer, but what is important is definition. There is a cultural change that requires organization to continually challenge the status quo. This is the main nice point of this definition of digital transformation. Let's talk about this. Basically, around the various digital teams that work for administration, for government, for companies. This author says these 4 points that are shared by the interview. First, digital transformation is powered by software and digital technology, of course, but it is customer-centered. Okay, so the point of view is the customer, the service user. Okay. But it's not only based on the customer experience, because the change requires, the digital transformation requires a transformation across the organization. Okay? The process that I'm going to show you is a key process for us because it's the hiring selection process, and we also discuss a bit the impact of the organization. Okay? The transformation is organizational and cultural change. Okay, this is the another key point. And more important for us that work in academia is the digital transformation is a never-ending journey. So the idea, what is borrowed from the Web 2.0 point of view, we are all in a beta release of our product. Okay, the change is continuous. Okay, good. Now let's go into in our context, I mean the Italian context, the UniFFIZI context. What is the perception of our institution by our community? Well, we perceive ourselves, I mean professor and student, mainly as a community of graduate students, administrative and technical staff, researchers and professors. Then you go to the database of Italian public administration and you discover that we are a public administration. And this concept is not completely clear to people, I mean students and professors mainly, working in this context. Okay, let's try to pick and to highlight the pros to be in a public administration in Italy. Okay? I'm not joking, there are pros, at least from the digital transformation point of view. Okay, 2 years ago has been set up from the government a digital transformation team that made an excellent work. It was been guided by the number 2 of Amazon, okay, that given his experience to the nation basically and set up a nice staff focused on the digital transformation. Okay? Of course, this kind of work is focused on Italy and the Italian characteristics, but it's driven by the European Union principle, of course. And also, there is an English part, and you can go there and read what are the activity of the digital transformation team, and understand the project, understand the vision, and even compare with
similar initiatives that, for instance, are in UK or in other countries. Okay, so this is one point, one useful point. We have guidelines and they guide us in designing a digital service for university. Well, there is a problem. This appeared last year. Okay, so we started a few times ago. Well, what are the principles that inspired our work in redesigning the administrative processes? Okay, these are the principles shared by the European Union, shared by almost all countries in Europe, and are the following. First, digital by default. If you design a new service or redesign a service, this service can be used even by other channels, but digital should be the default. Okay? The second point is really important. It's called the one-solving principle. If the administration has the information, don't have to ask information to the citizen. Okay? The third point, digital identity only. Yes, this is a real crucial point to develop good services and make services usable. One of the difficulties is the fact that we have a lot of identity systems. We fight with password, username, and whatever, okay? And one password, one more identity system is an obstacle to the service, okay? This is what Pedro before said about the SPID, the Italian public system for digital identity, okay? This has been set up relatively recently, and is growing, luckily, should be here, okay? And this is the number of digital identities released, and also the growing rate, okay? And we were particularly happy about this growth rate, that is the speed identity released to 18, so to young people, okay? Okay, so this is what is digital identity. The other principle is cloud first. Cloud first means that you cannot be logged in by servers that are in a physical place that can be destroyed by events or can go down without being reliable. More important also for us are the inclusive and accessible view of the services. We must be, of course, open and transparent, and interoperable by definition. This is some more technical stuff that I'm going to explain later. And so, with this kind of principle, okay, we can work to design our services, and we are a public administration, so we can use tools designed for the public administration. And also, very important from also from an economical point of view, we must, to be more precise, we use free software from other administration. So these are the pros to being in a public administration. What are the problems? The problems is the problem that my director already highlighted. That is, we must strictly follow the digital regulation for public administration, and of course there are a lot. I avoid the long list of normative drafting in this context. But there is another fact that these guidelines and even the law are designed keeping in mind the other public administration. So this is the percentage of universities and public administration in the public administration ecosystem. We are talking about more than 20,000 public administrations. Okay? So clearly, the story is that, okay, we are a public administration, good. good in some sense, but the story about public administration in Italy goes towards many municipalities, because there are about 8,000 municipalities. Okay? Then the other problem is the context awareness about the public administration, and students, both Italian and of course especially non-Italian students, are not aware that we are a public administration. The only people completely aware in our community, of course, is the administrative and technical staff, and the professors are partly aware. I mean, they don't want to be aware of the context in some case. Okay, we are ready for.
They are aware, but sometimes they forget.
Yeah, oh, yeah. yeah, the story is completely true. Okay, so now we want to be open, we want to catch students, smart, even, of course, staff, scientific staff. So the idea is that we have to work on our selection procedure, okay? And our selection procedures here are different, and there are, and these are a subset of the position that for scientific staff are available in an Italian university in general. Of course, you can recognize PhD students and fellows, research fellows. Then here, when you go to research fellows, professors, there are several details that becomes subtly aligned. Okay, this was the first initiative, the first government initiative, the national initiative, to share calls with the rest of the world. Italy first, but also the rest of the world. And this is a website owned by the Ministry of Education that basically makes public all calls in Italian university. Okay? So it comes a first obligation for our staff. This is to publish the call on this website. Okay. What was our starting point? It was our starting point. This is a call for PhD students, okay? And as you can see here is the PDF of the call, but just under the call of the PDF, you have the application form. The application form is simple to fill. It's a completely, the form is by paper, okay? By the way, if I'm not wrong, there exists at that time only the Italian version of the form, okay? And you have to know where this object is, you have to download, and then to understand from the call, okay, where you have to send to the rector or whatever. So, trust me, maybe not easy, also for a smart Italian student, definitely is not an example of inclusion or openness to non-Italian students. Okay, what will be a reasonable point, a reasonable idea of a good process that is open and inclusive? I am sure that your university have similar staff. This is just for a chance. So here there is the call for the PhD position. You apply online, it appears the form, no identification, nothing. You fill the form and then apply. Okay. This is, of course, the problem is that this problem cannot be technological. You understand. But we have to redesign completely the process according to our normative, according to our regulation, to be more close as possible to that form. Okay? This was the goal of this working team, the committee that Pedro described before. And please, the composition is important, because as you can see, the number of people computer science people, information technology people, is very low. There are, we are two very expert and smart developer, head of developer, but at the end, we have people from organization studies, 3 people from business administration and administrative law, business management engineering, myself for the operational research and data analytics part. But these are competencies in which, as I told you before, the information technology is a part, the specific knowledge is a part, but the domain is another one. What was our approach? Forget the current practice. We study the current practice and we completely avoid to patch the current practice. We restarted from scratch. We completely redesigned the process, of course, according to the law, because we cannot avoid that. Having in mind what are the possibilities of the technology, having in mind what was at the time and the evolution of our technological infrastructure, but having in mind that the new process must be the same for all business units involved. Because what is the story? The story is that the departments are responsible for research fellows. The central administration is responsible for professors. And the PhD office is responsible for PhD students. But all must share the same process. Why? Because in Italy there is also a question principle, and the director has to change from time to time from anti-corruption law people. And you cannot learn from scratch a different process. So this was the main idea. What we used? We, in the day about this kind of technique can be found easily on the web, but basically the key of the success was the fact that we conducted co-design workshop with people described before, using simple tools that people in administration can understand. So the nice slide showed by Pietro before about the simplified notation, business process model notation, was important. We spent time in teaching such notation to the administrative people, and then they were able to discuss with us without barrier in the language. This was the key of the success. So at the end, they were able to translate your experience, your interpretation of the normative into a workflow described by this kind of notation. What was for the Italian, know if there are Italian administrative here, please read the examples in the Design Università website, because there are simple examples that are very explicit. Good. What we got? A unique process. A unique process in which I showed you only the microphases, the 6 phases of our process. The process starts from the code definition, ends with the final approval by the director, and then people enters the system, And we discovered, simply looking at the stakeholder of the process, that the true stakeholder of the selection process are not the candidates, as you can assume at the beginning, but are the department and the administrative staff. So if you put the stakeholder in a classical stakeholder map, remember, stakeholder map is a simple chart in which here you have the influence of the stakeholder, here you have the interest, and then there are 4 areas in which this one, low influence, low power, low interest, you have only to have a regular minimal contact. For instance, at the ministry at the end, you have to update the database in which which there are people registered as PhD student, professor, blah blah blah. The candidates, of course, have good high interest, but cannot influence the process, of course. So must be only kept completely informed. Okay, and then you have the committee that, of course, have a good high influence in the process, but not particularly interested in, and people are not typically be happy to be in a committee, so they are not interested in the process. Okay, so this is the part that you have to care. Manage closely the department, the administrative staff, and anticipate the meetings of the committee. Okay, so this kind of view can be, this simple example, can be replicated to several situations and can help in designing and redesigning the processes. Okay, let's go. So go to process implementation. Okay, I skipped, of course, all the details of the process. What is important are the phases. Once again, to show, to share with you. Okay, there is a call, the candidate apply, call end. The candidate is admitted by the administrative staff. Then at that point, the committee is appointed by the administrative staff. The committee performs a selection, transmit the results to the administrative staff that check the formal compliance of the report with respect to, again, the regulations, and then approve the process. Okay. Okay. So we started saying that, okay, we are a public administration and we have to reuse software. So we have to go to this nice place that is the catalog of reuse. Okay. And you can go there and then you can check if there are solutions that fits your need. Okay? These solutions are for free. Okay? And today, in an entire public administration, you have to carefully justify if you take another decision. That is, if you buy software. Okay? Of course, this strict enforcement is quite recent, but even at that time, for instance, there is a public competition application from some administration, but it's not an university administration. At that time, after, to give you an idea about the times, we started about the fall 2015, and after 6 months we were able to have the process in mind and to check the existing solution that comes from the University of Venezia and Genoa. Okay, we tested carefully the solution. In which way? The classical way to design, to help the process of designing the service is to use personas. Basically, personas, this is the definition from usability.gov, represent a fictitious character that represents a user or a category of users. Okay? What we have done? Basically, we identify during the process analysis and design, we identify a set of personas. The candidates, okay, the administrative staff, and the committee. Then we simulated for each personas the user journey through the existing systems, and we reported the experience. Okay. By the way, to don't be biased by the previous knowledge, we, for instance, the user journey of the administrative staff has been tested by administrative and non-administrative staff. Okay? The user journey for a candidate has been tested by young people. Okay? And what was the result? The result was that the existing solution works. The existing solution from Genova and Venezia are good enough. from the user journey point of view, but they showed also lack of key points like the integration with the existing databases. What was the problem about the existing solution? Basically, okay, there are several databases in the Italian ministry. The ASN is the database that contains people that got the habilitation, that they can apply as professor. So you have to talk with this database, because this is a key point in the approval process. And the solution don't work at the spot. The solution are lack of integration with the identity system. As an Italian PhD student or research fellow or professor, we have an identity, we have credentials from the ministry, and they don't talk with the credential of the ministry. So this means that people that access the call have to register if you want to give again the identity. The protocol, the solution proposed by this university was not integrated with the official protocol, with the official register and the timestamp system of this of the university itself. Finally, they are not integrated with the classical digital libraries. At the end, people that apply to a university position typically produce papers. Papers are stored in a repository, in online journals, in online library, and the solutions does not exchange data with this kind of library. In short, what means? This is the meaning of the previous word, strangely interoperable. The solution proposed by the NETS and by Genoa show low interoperability. So it doesn't talk with other systems in an easy way. Okay? Other stuff, minor stuff, they have a limited support to the selection committee and they were not cloud-based. Okay? Okay, at that point, we discussed with a provider for the university, it's called the Cineca, and it's a consortium, right, by the university, that deployed a software as a service solution. Okay, software as a service, roughly speaking, means that you don't buy software, you buy service from this provider. The practical result is there is no need of hardware infrastructure because it's cloud-based. So from an infrastructure point of view, what you need is only a browser, okay? And this is really important for the deployment of a solution. And we collaborated with the Cineca to embed, discuss our process into their solution, okay? And at the end, the final solution were highly interoperable and for both candidate and administrative staff. Let me show you what I mean, again with this interoperability concept. This is if you apply to one of the positions at the visa pool, okay, you are sent to this page, okay, in which here, as a system of credentials, there are the credentials that you have if you are already in the university system. Okay? So I can access this platform, remembering only my password on which I access my email at Untitled. And this is the first key point. Okay? Note that if you don't have this credential, you can apply for credential. And this is also a benefit because the same system is the system for all national public competition in university. So you earn a set of credentials that are useful. The system is integrated with the libraries. What means? This is my application, of course, and this is a paper by myself that is stored in my institutional library here, here, okay? So I uploaded in the system my product simply by clicking on the corresponding link of my institutional database. So providing information to the application is quite easy, at least for people that belongs to a system of institutional database. But this is true for at least from PhD on in Italy. Okay. Another nice goodie that I want to show you, this is quite technical, but it's important. This is the file that has been uploaded, and the system returns the checksum. Okay, I can check easily. I mean, easily for people skilled, but there are a lot of apps that can do this. This is simply a checker of the file they uploaded in the system, and if you are, as you can see, this number is, I checked this file on my laptop, okay, and the number is exactly the same that is currently in the system. So I have the digest is called, is exactly the same, meaning that the system received exactly what I supposed to send. Okay? This is, of course, this is not what you typically think when you upload something, okay? But this is important from a later point of view if you go to a trial, okay? So, it's an important stuff. Okay. The system is integrated with the protocol. This is integrated with the protocol number that you already heard about TDUS, that is our protocol system. And look, I sent my application, okay, at some point, at this time, okay, I received that the system received my application, okay, then a few minutes after, 10 minutes after, the university received my application and there is a protocol number related to my university. 10 minutes later, from the cloud solution, people from the administrative staff here can access my application that is formally okay, and I can refer at this point from that point on to the head of the office, to the selection office that is 2 doors on the right, and and I can, the employees can see and can answer the questions. Okay? It's important to say that everything you submitted before the demand is closed is still stored in the cloud. Okay? So from the logical point of view, the workload in university is 0 because the solution is outside the university system. Is transmitted at that point formally, okay, and at this point the application is active. What is another important point of view about the system and the process? I told you that we designed a standard process, but you know that there are several positions. For instance, PhD students might ask for reference letters. Okay? So, yeah, the story is that the format that the candidates see from his application is defined straightforward by people in the office using simply an Excel spreadsheet. So, no language, no knowledge of nothing, simply fill a row in a spreadsheet that is transmitted to the system that set up even a complex form, that is a form that requires, in this case to myself, reference letter to be admitted for the application. Okay? So this is the key points. Okay, these are what is nice and is okay. What has been done so far? What is not yet implemented at this point? Now our selection office can set up a committee, but the committee support, and what is very important is remotely committee support, has been not yet implemented in our university. It exists in the system, but not been implemented yet. It's going to be implemented. And the formal transmission of the final report is requested by a non-digital signature to the committee. And this is what we are going to implement hopefully soon. Let's recap the benefits, okay? What we observed, the system started from basically spring 2017, and if you go through the system, and you can go because this is without any kind of authentication, so you can go here, okay? These are all the calls handled by the system, starting from this year, it was spring 2017, and the total was something about 250 calls. Remember the number that Pietro told us before. We are about 500 people in staff. So, and a callback, yeah, exactly. And the callback contains also several positions. Okay. So for the candidates, the benefits are that the interaction with the administration is very limited. And remember what I told you before. What is the success of a digital transformation? A never-ending journey. What means? I decide the template for the application. I receive several calls about the candidates. Is something wrong in the template, in the process? Well, and the head of the office, of the selection office, for people that will visit tomorrow, she said, okay, there is something wrong in my template because all people ask about this point. So we changed the template and the interaction finishes. So it's a proactive way to work. Okay? Since she can change the template, she knows the problem that the template creates, she adapts the template. So this is the never-ending journey of the digital transformation.
You return to the point that you remarked before. It's a cultural point. You must change your way of thinking your work, of approaching any problem. You must think in a digital way.
Okay, another word about the candidates. We don't ask strange stuff to candidates. I mean, they have to, at the end of the application, print out the form, sign, scan, and resend. This is the only formal step, but there is one reason. The reason is that the system of digital identity, the public system of digital identity, has not yet implemented. This is another task. But this is the unique point that we ask to candidates. For committee, the process is almost generalized. Okay, the staff can focus on key activities. What we observed that we were able to cope with workload peaks. Today, in this month, there are currently 51 fixed-term research positions open at the same time, because our ministry gives us a strange deadline, and we have to spend money before, and we have to.
And our selection office can count on 3 persons.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I'm going to say. There are only 3 people working in the office. e uno ha avuto anche un problema, adesso questo speriamo che lo resteremo. Okay, what is mean? The process has been digitally transformed, and I have to be honest, not completely. There are some details that must be adjusted. One is the integration with the system of digital identity, public system of digital identity. So at that point, if I integrate with this, you push the button and you are formally okay with respect to the current regulation. The integration with the other databases that are in this university and in Italy. For instance, I describe my teaching duties in the application. My teaching duties are stored in this database. Okay? And remember this stuff, the Bandi, this is a very old system. This is a very old system, the national system, and this is difficult to integrate, okay, because it's too old, the system here. So this is one of the steps in which we need to copy and paste, and we want to eliminate, but we cannot do too much because we do not receive a formal exchange between systems. Okay, so it's not a matter of our system, but the age of this system. And that's it. Thank you for your attention.
Now we have finished. We would like to give certificate for those who are leaving today, and the other ones will receive the certificate after the visit to the office organized for tomorrow. For those of you who have given us the training agreement, we will deliver them to you as well. Okay, independently of your departure. Thank you.
Ciao.